Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim. Wait a minute. Tim's not here. We have special host, Ryan Peach. Ryan, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm so good. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. I'm going to switch our view here from video. I'm doing amazing, man. Have a great day. Almost got 6 or 7 hours of sleep with a newborn, so
Whoa.
I'm rocking.
Whoa. Man, you're going to be crushing it today then.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to have you on, have this conversation with you, bring a fresh voice to the guys.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really excited. I love being able to speak to guys on a daily basis that, I was right where they were, right, 2 years ago and just, in it, struggling and being able to now speak to them from a place of like, listen, I know where you were and I also know where you're going, which is really fun.
Yeah. For some of you guys, you probably recognize if you've called in and just requested more information, had a question, you may have actually recognized Ryan's voice. So Ryan Peach is our director of operations, but he also, out of passion, jumps on some of the phone calls with guys who are interested in more information about the activation method, which is our flagship program or one of our other programs. So Ryan, I know you jump on there a lot and help the guys out. So really appreciate that.
Yeah. It's oxygen. It gets the blood flowing talking to these guys, especially when those guys are able to make that decision and step to the line, right? And then seeing 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they're just like, whoa, life changed. These things are going great, and their wives are just looking at them with just love and passion, and the guys are beginning to really thrive. Talk about getting your engine going. That's it. That's it.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the guys, before we hit record, you had a topic that you wanted to bring to the table.
Yes. So something that we've been seeing a lot, like, listen, we know what's going on in the world. We're not, we're not living in some fantasy land where real life doesn't affect us. We understand that COVID and things like that have changed a lot of financial situations, or at least home situations for people, right? And a lot of the guys recently have been bringing up this same issue, right? Like, it's I really want to do this. I see it. I see the vision, but I can't. Not right now. Whether it be finances or the uncertainty, or I don't have the time. There's just this like, well, I want to wait until these really bad times are over, and then let's get into it. So, what do we say to those guys, right?
Yeah, well, it's a common thing, right? So the two things that prevent most of us from taking action is capital, right? So money, and time. The two excuses most commonly used. Now, this could be used to buy a house, car, a program that you're interested in, joining a gym, anything that we want to. And I think it's important to understand the internal programming that's really going on here, right? So we're all running off of subconscious programming. We all are. Like, you have a story about yourself. You're 6'1", ex-football player. We were talking about this. It's a story we all run on. And for a lot of us, what happens is the ego gets in, right? And I talk a lot about this on previous podcasts, but I think it's really important. Because what the ego wants us is to remain in a state of homeostasis, right? Not to grow, not to downgrade, right? You stay right there. And that's why when things go down, right, if the ego senses, that things might be bad, it freaks out. You get anxious, stressed. But the same thing happens when things start to improve, right? That's why so many guys, and I'm guessing you can relate to this too, Ryan, you build something up only to burn it down, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not my fault. It's the economy. It's this, it's that. Somehow, some way it burns down.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I can speak for myself, right? Like, I was in the activation method. I was going through, and results like were immediately starting to happen for me in business and in my relationship. And I remember having a conversation with my coach, and I was like, it was like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Like, I know, like, this is temporary, right? Like, this just isn't going to last. And it was just like fear-based what ifs that never came to light.
Yep. Yep. And that's the ego playing true. And I think that's important also for the guys is you actually are a product of the activation method and the brotherhood coming through that. Um, Still happily married, which is great.
Yes.
Congratulations again.
Thank
So,
you.
so when we look at these excuses, and I'm sure you had them too, right? When you were considering joining,
Yeah.
but this, not only counts for those guys that are on the fence with the activation method, this counts for all areas of your life.
Yep.
Right? So, what happens is the ego says, okay, don't change, right? So you can investigate change, but don't actually do it, right?
That's right.
Listen to this podcast, go to the website, read a few articles, go to Facebook, post some posts, read some books, get another Audible. That's the answer, because that's
right.
You're
feel
safe.
a little better. Feel a little better. Feel a little better.
Feel a little better, a little sense of hope. But don't you take massive action, because that's scary.
Yeah, we don't know what that looks like, right? Like we see that as a guy I just talked to today. I've talked to him since the beginning of April. And I keep notes on these guys because I want to know like how their lives are trending.
Sure.
And I see this play out so often, right? It's like I begin reading through and I'm like, man, he reached out in April. I've got to have change right now. Like my marriage is falling apart. Great. I need to wait. I've got a business deal that's going to be done. And then cool. So I reach out to him after the business deal, right? Oh, I'm super excited. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Well, wait, we're moving after we move then. And I'm just like, whoa, like this pattern is playing out in your life. I'm guessing it was playing out long before you ever talked with me. It was you see these changes in your personal life that you need to make. You're really excited about them, but then you get in your head and you decide that, well, that'll wait till later.
Yep. And it's so common here, right? And especially as men, you'll work on the business, right? And that's our go-to, and we may take risks there, but not in many other places. I can guarantee that this guy is probably a great guy. 90 days, right? That's a long time. It's a quarter of a year of your life waiting to actually improve upon. I can bet that this guy's business, he may have made this business deal. I'm going to guess that end of year, if we go back and talk to this guy, if we pull his records, his financials, his sales, it's going to be almost the same as the year before and the year before. And, that's just in his business. Now, his business is probably the best thing going for him.
Yeah.
His marriage is falling apart as he's trying to keep the business up. His health is probably falling apart as he's trying to keep the business and the marriage going. Yeah. And so all of these things coincide. So when we look at this systemically as men and as business leaders, we want to go ahead and guys listening to this or watching this on YouTube, I want you to grab a piece of paper and write this down, right? What decisions in your life, and look at the 5 territories, right? What decisions are you putting off? Right? What decisions are you, it's just not the right time. It's not the right money. Now, when you say it's not the right time, I want to be clear on this. Not the right time could be, it's COVID, right? And COVID's valid. And trust me, guys, you're going to come up with valid excuses. They're all going to be valid, right? I got to invest this. My daughter's, turning 16, my kid's got college. They're all valid, right? They're valid because you've justified them. But I want you to write them down anyway. So the areas are the 5 territories. Ryan, 5 territories? Put you on the spot.
I'm ready. Here we go. Self, health, wealth, relationships, and business.
Nailed it. Love it. So guys, write out those 5 categories and list any decisions you've been putting off. And what's going to happen is going to be interesting, guys. And this is kind of a fun experiment for those of you that have the balls to actually do the exercise rather than just listen to this, is you're going to forget. Your mind's going to go blank as you're starting to write these down. That's your ego hiding the answers from you. It's crazy, isn't it? Like Ryan, when I first learned about this, I always go, I can't remember. No, you can. Your ego is actually, it's like almost like a gremlin in your mind holding it back because it doesn't want you to change. It doesn't want you to experience growth, because with growth, there's risk, and there's risk of the ego getting pushed aside. So just take note of it. It's kind of a fun thing. There's ways to get rid of ego, but that's way beyond this conversation. And then so I want you to list the excuses that you've been made. It's not the right time. We're waiting to buy a house, which is, you and I were talking about offline. I'll take care of my health when my kids get older, when my business, with common one, when my business gets X dollars, right, per month, or revenue, right?
Yeah.
And so what I
Always.
want you to do is make that list of those 5 territories and write down all those things. Is it the activation method, right? Is it really not the right time? Do you really not have enough money? I mean, it's not the right time to invest in the most important relationship of your life. Like, that's shitty.
Like,
Or
wow.
it costs not the right amount of money. Well, you can talk to a lot of the guys that you probably talked to, Ryan, that have taken the time, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're served divorce papers.
Yep.
It can't go back and talk
Yeah.
about money lost and time lost. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. That was a guy that will always stick out in my mind. I mean, he was so close to making the decision to reach out, right? But then it wasn't the right time, right? Like, oh, follow up with me next week. And then scheduled a call and he didn't show up, right? So then I messaged him. It's just like, hey, listen, seems like you're really busy. Maybe you put this on the back burner for now. Just let me know. He was like, yeah, can you follow up with me in a month? And I was like, if that's what you choose as far as priorities, great. That's fine. I'll follow up with you then. And it was 3.5 weeks later, I get a message from him saying, can you call me right now? And anytime I get that, my heart sinks because I know what's going to be on the other side of that line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, my wife just came home, bags packed, served me with divorce papers and left. What do I do? And I'm like, I mean, I
machine.
Yeah, and it's because, right, bad things, like if we see, like with COVID, with any crisis, right? Crisis doesn't come slowly and hit softly, right? Like it comes out of nowhere like a wrecking ball and hits you, and then you're left to pick up the pieces of what's left. Yeah. Versus making the decision, right? Being decisive and saying, yeah, I'm uncertain, but I know that, and this is how I made my decision. And maybe it'll resonate with guys, maybe it won't. But for me, I was on the phone with Tim and I said, Tim, I see 2 paths in my life as clear as day. One is the path that I know. I know exactly what it looks like. I'm going to continue down the business path that I'm going to be really successful. I'm going to make lots of money, and I'm going to be really good at what I do. I also know that within the next year, I'm going to be divorced. I mean, I just see we were headed down that path. It wasn't good. We didn't trust each other, and we were miserable. It was like, so cool. I know that means my daughters aren't going to know me the way I want them to know me. They're not going to have a dad that's around to teach them things. They're going to have a dad that they hang out with on the weekends and then go home and get raised by their mom. And I was like, okay, so cool. So that's 30 years of getting money and losing everything else. I was like, or there's this path that is bright and full of possibility, but I have no idea what it looks like. I have no idea what tomorrow looks like. But this path over here is clear, and it's terrifying, and it's awful, and it's full of destruction and bad things. And I was like, I've got to choose this path that I don't know exactly what it looks like, but it's a hell of a lot better than what's over here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, one destination, 2 paths, we talk about that a lot in The Powerful Man. And I think what's interesting with your story, and we're not getting off track here, I'll loop it around, is you shared with me, you're like, Doug, to be honest with you, I was getting all these wins, but it wasn't until I actually went to a live event, that culminated, that I actually bought in. And I was like,
yep.
Okay, this is going to last. And you saw the other men around you getting the same results. And you were constantly going, okay, when's the other ball going to drop? When's the other, when's it going to collapse?
Yeah. Yeah. I knew, right? Like I knew, like my brain was so matter of factly telling me that, like, just wait, right? Like it's coming. And it was like, anytime I had success, it was in the back of my mind. Yeah, but, and then what I learned was, like, life is hard, right? Like there are those tough times that come, those shifts that are uncomfortable, but as a whole, as a trajectory, like I have learned because of going through the program and working with you guys and being able to write them down, which I think is so smart that you're telling these guys to actually write this stuff down, because guys, we do lie to each other, and we do it so well, right? We lie to each other better than we do anybody else. And so when you write it down and you can go back and read your words, it's like, oh, okay. Like I was on this path, and look at where I am now. And so for me, that was, being able to track what my success, what I wanted success to look like, and then being able to look back and be like, yep, I'm hitting here. Why am I hitting here? Oh, it's because I'm doing these things. I'm not hitting here. Why am I not? Oh, well, I look back, like I had 2 weeks of just choosing to like say no to doing that. And then it just becomes, it gets the ego out of the way, which is such a key thing, right? Just being able to say like, listen, you're important. Thank you for being there, but I need you to sit in the corner for a while the adults are talking and making decisions.
Yep, exactly. You got to shut that ego down as soon as possible. But I mean, your story is so representative of so many of the men, right? Yeah. You made an investment, right? And the team kept on pouring in, there's nothing money, so to speak, to be made. Yeah. But you're still going, yeah, I'm not sure. So that's still, we're still talking about the same excuses of time or resources, right? The number one resource is time, guys, right? You can make money, you can lose money and make money again. It's not a big deal. The last thing you want to be is that guy that's in his 70s that's got all the money, no family.
That's right.
No friends, no horrible health, and you're spending all of your money trying to win people back. We see it all the time.
Yep.
All the time. And the truth is you need to take action now. So this goes again to that exercise. I know, because I used to be that guy. Most of you are just still listening to this and haven't actually written it down and saying, I'll do it later. Do it, right? Take that time. Write down the 5 territories, right? Make sure you have them all down there. So self, health, wealth, relationships, and business. And make sure you write down what are the things that I wanted to do, but I'm putting them off because I don't either have enough time or enough money. Each category, you should have at least one in each category, be my guess, if not a lot. And then what I want you to do is go ahead and star the ones that you think would move the needle most significantly for you. I'm going to give you a hint, guys. It's not in your business, right? It's not.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
It's not in your business because your business will be there. If you're truly an entrepreneur, there's a lot of avenues for you to make money, a lot of them. And the business will always be there to serve you, but will your relationships be there to serve you? Right? That's the question. Your wife and you could end, but Ryan, you made such a great point, which is so important to me, is your children, right? I want to be the man my son wants to be when he grows up, right? I want to be a superhero. I also want to be the guy who sets the bar so friggin' high to what a man is that my daughter has a hard time meeting guys that are like him. She wants to, and really set that bar high. And how do you set that bar? It's not your words. It's your actions. It's what do they see you doing, right? If your kids came up to you and said, look, I'm looking at investing in myself, only going to be a few weeks of my life and, a little bit of money because I want to better myself and better myself for my family. Would you discourage your kids? No way. There's absolutely no way you would do it. Every guy listening to this would jump and do anything he could to support his child, his son, in trying to better his relationships.
That's right.
Why don't we? Right? Why don't we invest in ourselves? And that goes down to that self category, the territory of self.
Yeah.
Why are you putting yourself last, guys?
Yeah. And I can speak, again, for me, just like you said, right? When I first got into it, I was like, oh, cool. I know how to set business goals, right? Like I want to hit this much revenue. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to and then when I get this, right, then I can focus on these. And it was like, no, flip that upside down, guys. Stop, all of these other things. It doesn't make sense, but it's because in a lot of ways we've been taught wrong, right? Is get yourself right, get your health right, get your relationships right. These other areas begin to take care of themselves. And it's just what happened, right? It's just what happened for me. And it was like, cool, Ryan, you're the exception to the rule. No, all the guys in my group, the guys that come through the program and do the work, I see it with all of them, right? It may not look exactly like what they wrote down on paper, but if you ask them, are you winning at life, right? Are you fulfilled and happy? They're like, yes, right? And you may ask some guys there's a guy that in the Brotherhood now who was very much about business, right? I'm going to win at business. And I had a conversation with him last week and I was just like, cool, how's your revenue doing? He's like, yeah, it's good. He's like, I was looking at it last week and I think we're doing pretty well. But let me tell you, Father's Day, the kids have already told me they planned this event and it's going to be so amazing and I'm so excited. Like his whole demeanor has changed because he's not driven by being just a financial provider and that being his benchmark for success as a person. It's completely flipped.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean, that he's not being successful in his business.
Quite the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting how we forget that things go hand in hand, right? It's almost like when the men, in my experience too, is when we still focus on business, we keep our eye on the ball, but when we start focusing on the other areas that are lagging, right? Just like in business, if you want sales to increase, right, one of the best ways of doing it is increasing your retention, right? Your customer service, your ability for your sales support team, your marketing, your systems, how's your fulfillment, right? You take care of all the areas, and it's just like the territories. You need to take care of all 5 territories in order for the other ones to grow.
Yep. Absolutely right. Yeah. It's like, I had a story told to me one time that just made so much sense that this guy said, cool, like I want you to plan on that you're going to walk a mile. Okay. You're going to walk it. You're not going to run it. You're not going to jog it. You're going to walk a mile. But for every 500 feet, I'm going to give you a brick. And that brick is some sort of responsibility or fear that you have in your life right now. Right. And he's like, so just imagine you're a quarter of the mile in and you're just carrying like these 4 bricks. I'm like, oh, these are pretty heavy. And then at the next, you're 8 bricks in. And like that last quarter mile is brutal. Like you're trying to hold things and not drop them. And it's heavy and your arms are shaking and you've been walking for 30 minutes and you're just sweating to death. He's like, cool. He's like, now I want you to do this mile, but I want you to do it on a bicycle. Right. Like he's like, I want you to sit on a bicycle, and this bicycle is the path, right? This is your life, still having responsibilities, right? You still have to bring along these things with you. But as you go down this path, it is such a smoother ride and you're able to enjoy it and feel the wind in your hair and you're able to get where you're going much quicker. He's like, but when you are walking through life and you're just taking on every responsibility, financial is my weight and I've got to do this and getting this right is mine and doing this business thing is mine. And once I get this, it's just, we put all this weight on us. Well, then like you may be successful in business, but how much more successful could you be there and in the other areas when you begin to take all that weight off and start walking with, intention and drive and fulfillment and passion rather than guilt and resentment and fear and all of that.
Yeah. It's when we talk about it. I love that story. I've never heard that analogy. I love it. And it's kind of like, people like, I'm going to push so hard towards my goals, like pushing a boulder up a hill versus people that are being pulled towards their destiny or pulled towards their dreams that you just let flow and ease come in. And I mean, there's still bumps, right, guys? I mean, like, there's no BS. The coaches that are involved in Powerful Man as well, we all hit our bumps in the road. We have a brotherhood that picks you up quickly, which is awesome, and a support system. However, it's all about accountability and making sure that you're being true to yourself. And when you hit those bumps, they're like mini speed bumps rather than huge barriers, which most of us have faced in the past because we've been there. And that's why we can speak with authenticity is we've been there and we found a way out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, guys, again, I'm going to really challenge you. 100 bonus points to those that do it. What I want you to do is grab a piece of paper, write out your 5 territories. If you haven't already, make sure you do it. If you're at the gym right now, go ahead and step off the treadmill, set the barbell down, grab your phone, put it in your calendar. I want you to have at least 30 minutes to do this exercise. Make sure it's in there, just like any other appointment you would have with the biggest deal, right? The biggest business deal is you. You're the leader. Business can only rise as high as the leader goes, right? See it time and time again. Is write down, what are you putting off? Like, be real with yourself, right? No blame. Maybe you're putting off your diet and exercise. Maybe you're putting off spending time, date night, with your spouse, or date day, as we've talked about in a previous episode. Or maybe it's the activation method. Maybe you've talked to Ryan twice And to be honest, the guys on the team, we don't hunt people down, right? We may call you back, we may not. And it's not because we don't like you guys. It's just because if you're not ready, you're not ready. This is not what we do. This is a movement of men. It's not for everybody. We say that often. This is for the brave souls who are really, really desiring better for themselves and for their families. And it starts with doing the work, and doing this exercise is one of those things. And listen, guys, as we talked about it before, we still have that Reignite cheat sheet available for you for free. It's over at thepowerfulman.com/bonus as we record this now. Of course, it may change, but right now we do have that Reignite cheat sheet available to you. So I'd make sure you get that today before it actually changes out. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. Any parting words for the guys?
I mean, it's been the revolving theme of our conversation, but take action, guys. It's time. Period. End of story. It is time. There's going to be a million excuses for always not taking action. And I like it. I don't care if it's the activation method. I don't care if it's taking your wife on a date. I don't care if it's apologizing for that thing, having that uncomfortable conversation. But like, today is the day, right? Like this right now is literally all we have. If COVID has taught us nothing else, is tomorrow is as uncertain as anything in your life. So like, do it today. Don't wait, because if you do, like I said, it may never come. You may always be waiting until there's no more time. And then all you have is regret. I think I may be wrong, but a lot of the guys that we meet, I think guys that come on here are risk takers, are guys that are willing to do the hard work and be adventurous. And I think for you, this is that opportunity for you to really jump forward in your life and make those big, scary decisions, and just be able to look behind and be like, yeah, that's right. I did that. I did that for me, and I did that for my family.
I love it. Well, you guys, you heard it here. All right, guys, that's it for us today. We'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.